Well, good morning. So before we start talking about this beautifully glistening Royal Enfield Classic 350 over here, I want to tell you something personal. And the reason I want to tell you something personal is because I feel like on YouTube, but also social media in general, it's often easy to portray life better than it is, to only show the best parts of life, and that's not really who I am. I am more of a kind of person who likes to accept life as it is. We have good stuff which I love to show you. I'm very grateful that I'm able to ride all of these bikes and make videos for you, but I also don't want to give you the wrong impression in seeming happy all the time, and I don't know, just being a bit fake, I guess. So I guess that brings me up to what I want to talk to you about. Yeah, about a month and a half ago I started dating someone, and I never was a big believer in love at first sight. I'm a pretty practical guy. I'm pretty fact-based. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get to know someone, but with this girl it was from like 5 minutes after I met her, it was basically, yeah, I just knew. Sometimes you just know. So yeah, we went on 2 dates. Was honestly amazing, like pretty much perfect. But yeah, as you can probably assume, the story doesn't really have a happy ending. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here telling you all of this. Yeah, it basically just came down to the fact that it was maybe the right person but the wrong time. And yeah, it's pretty. So yeah, as you can imagine, that's pretty hurtful, going in the span of a month and only 2 dates, going from holy shit, this is like kind of the person I want to be with, to yeah, figure out that it's not gonna work out, and yeah. So that, and then secondly, I've also started therapy again for some other stuff that's been a pattern throughout my entire life, and that's brought up some unresolved issues and unresolved emotions. So that's why I might not be as, I don't know, enthusiastic as I usually am today. I hope you appreciate the honesty. I feel like on YouTube, sometimes you watch a YouTuber for a couple of years and you don't really know much about them. And I don't know, I kind of like the idea of showing you a little bit more and telling you who I am. And if telling you about my experience with this and being open might help you in some way, then yeah, I feel like I've served my purpose on this planet pretty well. And yeah, I hope you get something from that as well. I can share my story here, and then maybe we can help each other. So plan for today is I'm gonna head to a nice historic village about 15 minutes up the road from here. They have a nice bakery, and it's still quite early. It's about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Then we're gonna go find some beautiful Dutch twisty country roads, because this Classic 350, of course, as you can see, it fits perfectly in the Dutch scenery with all the green stuff and the cows and the grass. That's, just parking it up here and taking some of the B-roll for you. This thing just looks phenomenal, and yeah, I just want to put it in its most natural habitat. So nice, slow, curvy, twisty B roads, and yeah, just enjoy it and tell you about my opinion of this Classic 350, which I've had over the past 6 days and about 300 kilometers. So yeah, I got some experience on it, and yeah, I'm gonna get my gear on, and then we are gonna go get some breakfast. And again, thank you for listening to my story.
You got me shaking, yeah, I feel the fever coming on. Oh, you're all I want.
I'm gonna try the chest mount, because I think I like the perspective a little bit more. I feel like on my helmet mount, sometimes it can feel a little bit jarring with my head bobbing around everywhere. So I think the chest cam might be a little bit more stable, but let me know what you think. And yeah, we'll get going.
Jump in the gun to play it safe. Let's spend the weekend here in this bed. We can sleep in and let the feelings overflow. Useless trying to fight this. Let's just give in and let the feelings overflow. I tried to shake it, find a way to get you off
Now I know what you're thinking. Why is a young guy like you, who has access to a lot of bikes, on a Royal Enfield Classic 350? You know, it's not the most expensive, it's not the most capable, not the fastest. Well, I just think that this Royal Enfield Classic 350 stands for a lot of the things I like about motorcycles. A lot of the things a lot of the reasons I ride motorcycles. I mean, I might not look like it, but from the outside I'm pretty young, but on the inside I'm basically an old man. And that means I like old motorcycles. I don't really care about the speed, I don't really care about the performance of a motorcycle. What I care about most is what it makes me feel like. And watching all of the reviews and all of these videos about the Classic 350, everyone just made it sound like the most characterful motorcycle you could buy on the market at the moment or at any moment. So that's why I was intrigued. And on paper it also seems to be that way, because it's got an air-cooled single cylinder 350cc, and in general air-cooled engines have more character than water-cooled engines. I mean, if you just take one look at this, you just know that it's something special, and there's basically nothing else like it out on the market anymore. The reason I really like them so much is because they do still make quote-unquote old motorcycles, which you can still buy brand new with the warranty and without the hassle and the unreliability that comes with an actual classic. And oh, you can probably hear it, but the sound of this engine, it's addicting. There's just the fact that Royal Enfield has been able to make a stock motorcycle sound this good. It's got such a nice tone, such a nice lovely bass to it, and it makes you like you start riding, you're in first gear and you immediately just want to shift to fifth gear just to hear that thumpy low RPM bass. And then you combine it with a beautifully slick gearbox, so the entire drivetrain is just lovely to interact with and lovely to use. Oh, it's so satisfying. Again, this is what motorcycling is all about, you know. I'm not going fast or anything. I'm not even revving the bike. I'm short shifting. But I'm just getting so much character and enjoyment out of it. And as you can see, there are more people cycling here again. And on a motorcycle like this, when you're riding like this, you're not being annoying. You're not pissing people off. So the town we are entering right now is Muiden. And again with the Dutch history. As you can see over there, there's a beautiful old fort. And this town was part of the defensive lines of Holland many years ago. I think maybe even before the 18th century. So that's why we have the fort over there. And then if you go into the water, you can take a ferry, and there's a fort in the lake. Well, it used to be the ocean, but in the lake. And then here you see you have another fort with a cannon over there. And you got all these lovely historical houses. And I'm hoping a beautiful bakery, which will be the perfect backdrop for this Classic 350. And will allow me to get some nice breakfast going. Well, that was a lovely spot. Little pain au chocolat and espresso breakfast, and I took a sandwich to go for later. I mean, of course, not the most healthy breakfast, but in times like these you have to treat yourself sometimes, right? But yeah, I'm gonna go find some of those beautiful typical Dutch B roads now. I have a specific one in mind, so yeah, let's go there.
we are entering a little village. Let's talk about how the Classic 350 handles round town riding. Well, let's start off with the fact that Royal Enfield has some Indian roots, of course. It's an Indian company now, which means it's supposed to handle traffic and tight congested cities and slow speed maneuvers, and let's just say the Classic 350 does all of that excellently. So on these horrible cobbled streets, the suspension is very comfortable and the seat is so thick and so padded. It's like an extra layer of suspension, so that works really great. The turning circle on this, hold on, let me show you. Let me do a little U-turn. Like, the steering lock just keeps going. It's yeah, I don't think I've ever had a motorcycle, I've ever ridden a motorcycle with this amount of steering lock. And it's all very easy to use. So the throttle is extremely smooth, which is nice. The brakes are smooth. And although it's definitely not the lightest bike, I think this is actually one of the heaviest bikes in its quote-unquote class. It's really easy to maneuver. And the handlebars aren't too wide, so you fit through cars nicely. Actually, I had to do some filtering on the highway the other day. And it was so good. You have the torque of the engine, so it's easy to nip through traffic. The only downside I will say is if you do have to make an emergency stop, that's when you do notice the weight. Like in the front brakes, you definitely have to pull it with at least 3 fingers to initiate a proper emergency stop, so to say. But other than that, it's just a fantastic round town commuter, traffic beater, and for a motorcycle, which is basically a little bit of a more budget retro throwback kind of thingy. That's a professional term, I know. It handles way better than it is any ride to. So over here we got some nice S-curves. Slow down for the doggo. And you just throw it in, and on the one hand it's actually pretty agile. It doesn't look agile from the outside, but it's so agile. And then on the other hand, the chassis gives you so much confidence for some reason. I don't know how Royal Enfield has done it, but it's so much better than it is any ride to. If this handled 30 or 40% worse, I would still find it acceptable because of what it is, you know. It's not a sport bike or anything, so it doesn't have to handle this well. But it does, and I think that's pretty amazing. I think a couple of years ago Royal Enfield actually poached or hired some Triumph chassis engineers. I think that's right. And you feel it. It handles so well.
So I got from the bakery a pain au hamon, so with ham, I'm assuming. High pro protein drink because since about 2 or 3 weeks I've been hitting the gym again, so that feels good. So I need some protein and then some water. But enough about my diet. This Classic 350. So for some context, here in Holland this costs around 6,800 euros, depending on the paint scheme you choose. And I think that's an awful lot of bike for the money. If you look at the way it's finished, but also just how special it is. As I mentioned earlier, there really isn't anything on the market that looks like it. And you know, the attention this bike has been getting. I was riding in the city in Amsterdam a couple of days ago, and there was an old bloke on a bicycle next to me at the traffic light, and he was cycling by, and I just saw him like almost till his neck broke. He was so staring so much at the bike. So I don't think there's any other motorcycle in this price class that would get this much attention, but also that makes you feel this special, you know. It is if you park it up outside of your house and you look outside the window, or you sit at a cafe, there's just something special about it. And yeah, I just really appreciate that. And besides that, I just think that the finishing is really nice. The attention to detail is really nice. I love that Royal Enfield includes USB-C ports on the handlebars. The Gorilla 450 had it as well. So if you put your phone on the handlebars, you always have USB-C ports next to the phone so you can charge it easily, and just little things like that. I do know that in my previous Royal Enfield videos people have said that the longevity of these bikes, build quality wise, isn't maybe the best in the world. So people who owned the Interceptor 650, they said that after a while it does get a little bit rusty and crusty. But of course I can't comment on that because this is a brand new press bike and it's only done 1100 kilometers. So far so good. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. It does make me happy just looking at it. So even though I'm a young person, maybe not necessarily the target demographic of this bike, again on the inside I am an old man, and I like stuff like this. So let me eat, and then yeah, we'll see what the rest of the day brings. So very briefly, please do let me know what you think of me sharing more personal stuff. Is it something you like, you know, you're interested in, or do you think I should just stick to the bikes? That's I would understand, you know, click on a video about the bike and then there's a guy talking about his life. Of course I do want to do what I like. I want to make videos I like, I want to spread the message I want to. But then at the end of the day I am making videos for you. So yeah, your opinion is important to me. And also just in general, you know, what do you like, what do you dislike about my videos, what would you like to see differently? So please let me know in the comments, I'm genuinely curious, you know. Most of the time when YouTubers say, let me know in the comments, it's just for engagement and they want lots of people to write comments just to boost the algorithm. But yeah, I'm just genuinely interested because I want to make better videos for you, you know, so let me know. So as I was sitting on the bench over there, an older couple on the bicycle came up and they asked if they could have a seat on the bench with me to have some coffee, you know, and we just spent half an hour talking about life and everything in general, and I don't know, it just makes me feel good, you know, that you can come across some complete strangers just when you're, oh, my sleeves are not done up. Ooh. You can just meet some complete strangers, you know, and then strike up conversation, and then I don't know, there's something special about, well, I'm really not making sense. It just makes me happy to have an experience like that, you know, to come up to someone you don't know and then just being able to talk as humans. I know I'm probably doing a really bad job at explaining it, but yeah, it just makes me happy. Alright, let's see about the merging power on this 350cc air-cooled single, making about 21 or 22 horsepower, I believe. So yeah, as you can see, it's not gonna light your hair on fire, but it's definitely plenty enough. Maximum speed I've seen on this bike is 120 kilometers an hour under its own steam. I think that's about 75 miles an hour or something like that. So definitely enough to keep up with the traffic, at least over here in Holland. Most people don't drive that much over the speed limit. And honestly, in general, this bike is pretty comfortable on the highway. The riding position is really neutral. Handlebars are nice and upright. Leg room, I mean, your legs are basically at a 90-degree angle. One downside to that is, because you are so upright, it's the same issue I had with the Indian Scout I rode, so Cruiser and the Honda Goldwing, is that it does put a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on your spine and on your backside, and it's not a very flexible riding position. You are, you know, kind of locked in one place. Not the end of the world, but I do find myself leaning forward into the wind a little bit to make sure I don't get pushed back as much. But other than that, the engine is fairly smooth. I mean, I'm tubed out right now. This is full throttle in 5th gear and 118 kilometers an hour. I mean, like I can't overtake people, like I don't have any roll-on power left. But on the other hand, I mean, as long as you're not in a hurry, this is totally fine, you know. It will sit there comfortably, even with a headwind. It will always do more than 60. You can always kick it back into 4th gear if you really need to. And yeah, just a pretty pleasant
pretty pleasant place to be. Despite its small size, the small horsepower number, it's actually more capable than you might expect. And I wouldn't be afraid of doing some long distance on this.
Alright, so closing thoughts on the 2025 Royal Enfield Classic 350. How do I feel about this bike? Well, I really like it. I actually really like it. I like it a lot more, well, I expected to like it, but it's lived up to that expectation. It's got the character I expected. It makes you feel special in a way I don't think any other motorcycle around this price point can. A ray of sunshine, so to say. I don't know how else to put it. But you know, if you park this outside of your house and you look out and you see this parked, it just brings some joy into your life. And yeah, I just love it for that. That's gonna do it for me today, I guess. It's about to rain. I also have some travel content planned pretty soon. Some pretty crazy stuff. So more on that later. It's gonna be in September. I'm gonna make a very epic journey. So look forward to that. Subscribe if you've enjoyed this video and would like to see that. And I really want to thank you for watching, for listening to me talk about all of my own stuff and the bike. And yeah, if you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. The theme of my life this year is going to be more kind to myself. So I hope you can also be kind to yourself today. Yeah, because we all deserve that, right? So I'm going to leave it here. I'll thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.